Claude is now even showing up in the pages of the Wall Street Journal as the whole world gets Claude-Pilled. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. The story of this January so far has been the slow but steady settling in of the notion of a shift in capabilities, centered upon Opus 5, Claude Code, and now more recently Claude Cowork. Turns out the change is not just among the highly enfranchised AI users on X. The Wall Street Journal declared over the weekend that Claude is taking the AI world by storm, and even non-nerds are blown away. The WSJ writes, "They call it getting Claude-Pilled. It's the moment software engineers, executives, and investors turn their work over to Anthropic's Claude AI and then witness a thinking machine of shocking capability, even in an age awash in powerful AI tools." The article noted the huge wave of positivity on social media, with many non-technical people using Claude Code to develop their first piece of software without knowing the first thing about coding. It also noted that Claude Code is being deployed for a range of other use cases, including health data analysis and expense report compiling. The Atlantic had a similar take, writing, "Move over ChatGPT." The article says, though Claude Code is technically an AI coding tool, hence its name, the bot can do all sorts of computer work, book theater tickets, process shopping returns, order DoorDash. People are using it to manage their personal finances and to grow plants. I don't know what it says about the Atlantic that the first example they reached to is book theater tickets, but there you go. The author remarked that they used vibe coding tools for the first time in preparation for the article and was astonished that they could create a new personal website in minutes without any coding. They went on to spin up a dozen additional projects over the next few days. They texted a friend to try it out and received the response, "It just does stuff." ChatGPT is like if a mechanic just gave you advice about your car. Claude Code is like if the mechanic actually fixed it. To be honest, I don't really think that does it justice. I think it's more like Claude Code is like if when you dropped off your car at the mechanic, you could request any other car, and all of a sudden, a few minutes later, it would just be there waiting for you. A user named Alex Lieberman was profiled for the piece and claimed that in terms of implication, this was even bigger than the ChatGPT moment. However, he added, Pandora's box hasn't been opened for the rest of the world yet. That might not be the case for long, however, with major publications now raving about Anthropic's product lineup. Claude Code creator Boris Cherny remarked on the overnight success that was years in the making, saying, "Glad to see Claude Code starting to break through. It's been a year of very hard work, and we're just getting started." Ajni Midha writes, "The front page of the Wall Street Journal today is about everyday people using a command line interface. If you are a business leader and not revisiting major operating assumptions about the world, you are doing yourself and the people who depend on you a massive disservice." One other Anthropic story, the latest on their reported fundraising. That round that we've been hearing about that values Anthropic at $350 billion is apparently getting supersized up to potentially $25 billion. That includes about 15 from Microsoft and Nvidia and another 10 from VCs and other investors. Among those VCs is apparently Sequoia. Feels like we're probably within a few weeks of this closing, so I'm sure we'll get more news soon. Now, despite the Wall Street Journal writing so glowingly about Claude, US users clearly remain concerned about the technology overall. According to a new survey commissioned by Google and conducted by Ipsos, AI users are now in the majority. 66% of respondents said they had used AI in the past 12 months, compared to 48% in the 2024 poll and 28% in 2023. This was the third year of the longitudinal survey, which was conducted in late September last year, so relatively up to date. The survey polled around 1,000 adults from each of 21 countries. Respondents were evenly split when it comes to AI job disruption, with 50% saying AI in the workplace will create jobs and 50% saying it will eliminate jobs. Still, the majority of survey participants were in favor of fostering advancements using AI at 58%, compared to 41% who wanted to protect industries that might be disrupted by AI. Not surprisingly, AI optimism was closely tied to AI use. 70% who said they've used AI are optimistic about its benefits. And of those who use AI a lot, 86% were excited. There's also a strong correlation between countries with high levels of AI use and high levels of optimism. The US, however, ranked low on both use and optimism. Just 40% of US survey participants said they have used AI in the past year, which was the only country without a majority of AI users. As a point of comparison, the UK was at 56%, Mexico was at 66%, while the UAE, Nigeria, and India were all north of 80%. Only 33% of US respondents said they were mostly excited about the technology, the worst national result in the survey, and vastly beneath the overall result of 57%. Now, I actually think this is a major national issue. The implications are not just the user numbers for OpenAI and Anthropic. It's about the seriousness with which people are taking the potential disruption for this technology and preparing themselves for it. I believe there continues to be a strand of people who are hoping to just wait it out and return to the world that once was, and obviously I do not think that that's going to happen. Moving over to an issue that has become part of the political cannon fodder around AI, which is of course data centers. xAI's Colossus Two has now reached 1 gigawatt of capacity, becoming the first training cluster to cross that threshold. The data center is now drawing more power than the city of San Francisco. For comparison, the first Colossus cluster has a total capacity of 300 megawatts, while OpenAI recently disclosed that they have 1.9 gigawatts across their entire training and inference fleet. Construction began in March of last year, so this milestone was 9 months in the making. The only other cluster that's close is Anthropic and Amazon's new Carlisle data center, which is expected to hit 1 gigawatt sometime in the first quarter of this year. OpenAI's Stargate Abilene is expected to come online over the summer. For now, xAI is the only company with access to this much compute, which is exactly what we discussed as the big potential opportunity that could translate into differentiation for Grok in the year to come. Colossus 2 is also using Blackwell GPUs, making it one of the first training clusters to run Nvidia's latest hardware and the only one at this scale. The cluster reportedly contains 550,000 GPUs as currently configured. As Amateo Kaplan put it, gigawatt Grok has arrived. Now, staying in Musk world for a moment, Elon Musk is seeking up to $134 billion in damages from OpenAI and Microsoft as his lawsuit heads to a trial. A trial date has been set for late April, and during a hearing on Friday, Musk's lawyers quantified the damages. Their argument is that Elon is entitled to a portion of OpenAI's current $500 billion valuation due to the $38 million in seed funding he donated to the nonprofit in 2015. Musk's lawyer wrote in court filings, "Just as an early investor in a startup company may realize gains many orders of magnitude greater than the investor's initial investment, the wrongful gains that OpenAI and Microsoft have earned, and which Mr. Musk is now entitled to disgorge, are much larger than Mr. Musk's initial contributions," which is a very legalese way of saying, if that $38 million had been an investment into a for-profit startup, it would have been a heck of a lot more than $38 million by now. The filing also says that Musk plans to seek punitive damages as well as an unspecified injunction. OpenAI's lawyers rejected the approach, stating that his, quote, methodology is made up, his results unverifiable, his approach admittedly unprecedented, and his proposed outcome, the transfer of billions of dollars from a nonprofit corporation to a donor-turned-competitor, implausible on its face. OpenAI, for their part, continued to deny the premise of the lawsuit outside of the courtroom. In a statement, they said, "Mr. Musk's lawsuit continues to be baseless and a part of his ongoing pattern of harassment, and we look forward to demonstrating this at trial. This latest unserious demand is aimed solely at furthering this harassment campaign." Now on X, the discussion centered around pages from Greg Brockman's private notes that were revealed in the new filing. One especially frequently shared passage from 2017 read, "This is the only chance we have to get out from Elon. Is he the glorious leader that I would pick? We truly have a chance to make this happen. Financially, what will take me to $1 billion? Didi Das of Menlo Ventures said, "Deep down, it really is about the money." Now, several other quotes from the filing paint OpenAI in a very poor light. The quotes. Altman said, "Elon is cherry-picking things to make Greg look bad, but the full story is that Elon was pushing for a new structure, and Greg and Ilya spent a lot of time trying to figure out if they could meet his demands." Altman continued, "I remembered a lot of this, but here's a part I had forgotten. Elon said he wanted to accumulate $80 billion for a self-sustaining city on Mars, and that he needed and deserved majority equity. He said that he needed full control since he'd been burned by not having it in the past, and when we discussed succession, he surprised us by talking about his children controlling AGI." Altman continues after that quote, "I appreciate people saying what they want and think it enables people to resolve things or not, but Elon saying he wants the above is important context for Greg trying to figure out what he wants." With the trial less than 3 months away, the story is unfortunately going to be a big overhang for OpenAI as they try to execute on a pivotal year. Right signal, this is going to make a lot of people look greedy and ugly. Hopefully we won't have to spend too much time on this. I'll probably start to err on only sharing the really big highlights where it becomes a major, inescapable point of conversation as it has been for the last couple of days. This show, however, will not become a play-by-play court drama, as interesting and salacious as it might be. For now, that is going to do it for today's headlines. Next up, the main episode.